In the past week, there was a lot of things were happening at Real Madrid, especially after the Clásico when they lost against Barcelona. This result had consequences, and Xabi Alonso had to suffer with the sacking. In this video, we're gonna understand exactly what's happening at Real Madrid. So let's dive in. Real Madrid started the game with Alonso's defensive blueprint, which is suffocating Barcelona and playing with a compact mid-press, and as well as assigning players 1 versus 1, such as assigning Carreras against Lamine Yamal. And for the first 30 minutes, this actually worked. Xabi Alonso counted on man-to-man marking a lot in the Clásico. And we saw there is other example where Bellingham was shadowing Pedri in the first half. Bellingham was following him into deep areas and committing fouls to disrupt Barca's rhythm. This initially forced Barca into lateral recycling despite their 79th percentile position. When Bellingham was busy following Lamine Yamal in the opposite side on the flanks, Carreras wasn't leaving Lamine Yamal alone 1 versus 1. There was a battle over there, believe me or not. Carreras was able to win couple of times, but Lamine Yamal, in couple of incidents, he was able to bypass Carreras and take him out of position. As we seen for the first 30 minutes, Xabi Alonso's players, they were implementing his philosophy. We've seen them. They didn't give Barcelona's players spaces or gaps by implementing man marking, but everything collapsed after Barcelona's first goal. Yes, they were able to equalize the scoreline, but the second half was a complete disaster. That's the time when Xabi Alonso's philosophy collapsed. In the second half, Barcelona was dominating, and Xabi Alonso tried to find a solution by making a weird substitution when he brought Güler in instead of Valverde. Here where everything collapsed. This substitution caused a little trouble for Real Madrid in the back. Why? Because Asensio had to go and play as a right back, and Tchouaméni went back and played as a central back. When Hansi Flick saw this, he knew that something needs to be done here. Barcelona right away tried to exploit this instability. We can see here a slick exchange between Torres and Olmo led to a ball. Rafinha, his right-footed effort, took a massive deflection of Asensio to wrong foot Courtois for the winner. With Rafinha's goal, everything was ended between Xabi Alonso and Real Madrid, because Florentino Perez and Real Madrid fans, they can't tolerate losing another cup for Barcelona. And with this, we could say that Xabi Alonso's era at Real Madrid was over. I want to take a moment and thank you for being here. If you enjoy this type of content, make sure you subscribe. That would help us a lot, and we promise you that we're gonna bring more content that we believe that you're gonna enjoy. Now we could move to the next point. After Xabi Alonso's era is over, Real Madrid has appointed Álvaro Arbeloa to be the new coach for Real Madrid.
Breaking news, Álvaro Arbeloa is new Real Madrid manager. Here we go, deal signed for Arbeloa to become the new Real Madrid manager with immediate effect. So Real Madrid pick Arbeloa to replace Xabi Alonso with immediate effect. It's over with Xabi Alonso following El Clásico.
Arbeloa's era began with a huge shock, especially when they lost against Albacete in the Copa del Rey tournament. This was a surprise for Real Madrid's fans. But in this game, we can't actually blame Arbeloa because he was appointed as a head coach a day before the game, which didn't give him the enough time to prepare for the game. This made it difficult for Arbeloa, especially in Levante's game. So he made it clear that his priority in this game to not concede any goal, especially in the first half. So he focused on the rest defense. As well, he reduced taking risk with the transitions. To implement this philosophy, he had to do some changes. And one of those changes is playing with Valverde as a right back. This change was very important because we've seen that in the Clásico, Real Madrid struggled a lot, especially in the defensive side. And Valverde gives the team the emotional security, and that's exactly what Arbeloa was looking for. And Valverde is able to secure this point because he's strong defensively. This stopped the opponent from creating an overload on the right side defensively for Real Madrid because coaches normally avoid players like Valverde. And this exactly what I mean by emotional security. If Arbeloa made his plan and prepared it, that doesn't mean Levante didn't make their plan. In the contrary, they came to the game prepared. Their plan was to play with a mid-block to close the central channels and close any gaps. And their primary reason was to not concede any goal. Doesn't it sound ironic? Even Arbeloa came to this game to not concede any goal. Does it mean that we're gonna watch a boring game where all the teams playing in their side?
Halfback passes to the center, back to the wing, back to the center. Center holds it, holds it, holds it.
But to me, it was interesting. I want to see how would Arbeloa deal with this compact mid-block. As we could see how Levante was disciplined and they created a phenomenal structure. And note that the 3 central midfielders and 5 defenders in 2 tight horizontal lines completely erasing central pocket where Mbappe and Bellingham usually operate. This forces Real Madrid to play exclusively around the perimeter. With this compactness, Real Madrid players struggled like always they struggled against teams who plays with a compact mid-block. It was a very unfortunate to see this performance. Let's take a look at this stats. We can see Real Madrid had the possession for 70%, but their expected goals is only 0.39, which is less than Levante, and they had a total shots less than Levante as well, which means this stats shows us that Real Madrid really struggled in the first half. When you're playing against a compact defense like this, you need skilled players to play as a double pivot or to build up from the midfield, such as Bellingham. Like in these situations, you really need Bellingham to connect between the lanes and to play 1-2 combination. But unfortunately, Bellingham in this game, he missed a couple of passes, and more than just missing passes in the middle, he was breaking combinations. The link up that I just talked about, Bellingham was breaking it. We've seen this in minute 67 in Levante's game. This is a clear example of Bellingham's current struggle. Under zero immediate pressure, he had misplaces a simple back pass into the central lane, killing the 1-2 attempt to create an attempt. I want to end this point with this. Bellingham is an important player for Real Madrid, especially with connecting between the players. So in my opinion, that if Arbeloa wants to succeed in Real Madrid, he has to bring Bellingham back to play as a double pivot, either with Tchouaméni or Valverde. It doesn't matter, but Alvaro needs to play Bellingham as a double pivot. This takes us to Arbeloa's management. In this game, I saw that Arbeloa's management during the game was amazing. Especially he noticed that his players, they weren't able to connect and have those 1-2 combination. So what he did in the second half, at halftime, he brought in Arda Güler and Mastantuono. These two players, they are really good with passes. So that means that Real Madrid would be a little bit faster with the ball, especially having Mastantuono, Arda Güler, Bellingham together. That means you have the domination. Having these two players in the field, it didn't just help the midfield, it helped actually Mbappe, because in the first half Mbappe was isolated. He was lonely at the front, and they helped Mbappe to be more connected. Let's take a moment and take a look at this picture. I want you to look how Mbappe really struggled in the first half with this isolation. Mbappe was very frustrated. He's seeing, gesturing for the ball between the lines, but the passing lane is blocked by 3 Levante's players. Despite his movements and the lack of vertical risk from Real Madrid's back line meant he spent most of the half-time isolated and without any threat in the box. And this highlights Mbappe's struggle in the first half, because basically Real Madrid were counting on the back line to send long balls to Mbappe, and this wasn't happening as well. However, the effect of the substitution, it brought the result right away, because Mbappe wasn't isolated anymore. One vertical pass, one defensive panic from Levante, it was enough to put Levante in trouble and concede the first goal. Real Madrid didn't stop with the first goal. They continued to pressure Levante, and this is what I liked about Arbeloa's philosophy, which is applying pressure when the opponent is falling. This allowed them to score the second goal from a set piece, a wonderful cross to Asensio's head. What a beautiful header that Asensio scored, and this shows the individual ability of Real Madrid's players. After conceding the second goal, We all wondered, what is Levante gonna do? Of course, they're just gonna open the game and run. But Levante did exactly this. They pushed their fullbacks and they stretched their midfield, and there was distance when they did this, because either to score or concede, there is no difference. And Real Madrid utilized this very good. We started seeing these vertical passes that broke the lines, and we started seeing more threats from Real Madrid. And Real Madrid in this game, they were able to guarantee the win without conceding any goal. After seeing this game, we noticed that Arbeloa loves to play a conservative play. Levante's game was just the beginning of the reconstructing a new team. Arbeloa passed his second test, but in my opinion, it's the first test. Madrid's fans like, come on, Levante is not a real test. I was like, just wait for it. And Arbeloa in the Champions League against Marseille, he showed his tactical brilliance. Let's take a look at one of them. In this game, Arbeloa did some changes. The first change that he did is playing Camavinga as a left back, like he did in the previous game against Levante when he played Valverde as a right back. It's obvious that Arbeloa loves to play with a midfielder as a full back. And we've seen this trend all over Europe, especially with big teams such as Liverpool with Szoboszlai. And this is another topic for another day. And the other thing that I've noticed in this game, that Arbeloa used multiple formation to build up from the back, even during the progression. We've seen that Arbeloa began the game with building up with 4-3-3, and right after that we've seen Arbeloa implementing another formation where he played with 3-2-3-2, and in this situation we've seen Valverde played as a second divot alongside with Tchouaméni, and he played in the back with Huijsen and Camavinga as a left back and Asensio as a right back. When this formation didn't work, Arbeloa switched to another formation right away. He played with 2-3-2-3, and we could see here he created an overload on the left side of the pitch. As well, we could see that Mastantuono is widening the field from the right side, and this gives the opportunity for Mbappe and Arda Güler to attack the empty spaces, because Mastantuono dragged the left back to his side a little bit, and there is a gap between the central back and the left back. Therefore, with one pass, Camavinga was able to create a chance for Mbappe or Arda Güler to run in the empty space. With utilizing these various ways of build-up and progression, Arbeloa was able to break down the compact defense that Monaco played with and scored the first goal in minute 5. It was a very tactical driven goal and finish from Mbappe. Wow. And I want to add one more thing. In this game, Real Madrid had 6 big chances and they were able to score 6 goals. What a productivity, what a team. And the last thing I want to talk about is the dressing room. Arbeloa, he was handling the dressing room very well, because You get the vibe from the team that they are a little bit relief, especially that some players had problems with Xabi Alonso. And we saw that Mbappe, after the game, he supported Vinicius Jr.
We can accept that the public is not happy with us, but like I said, they have to do the same treatment for everybody. If they're not happy with us, they boo all the team. It's okay. They don't have to put one guy or the other, because it's not the fault of Jude. It's not the fault of other ones. It's the fault of all the squad, you know. We put ourselves in this situation. So it's our job to change this situation as a team.
This is a good sign of a new beginning. But we can't judge Arbeloa. Real Madrid fans, they have to give him a chance. And you guys have to give us a chance and subscribe and give us the like button. And peace!